22 persons suspected to be spies have been arrested in the Iranian province of with an apparent military insider media that operate with a verified social media handle, Iran Armed Forces stating that the 22 individuals were linked to Israeli intelligence services, and police authority in according to AFP confirmed the arrest of the 22 persons the police said are Israeli spies. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF, in a statement issued on Saturday morning said that Israeli troops in a precise attack killed the commander of the Palestine Corps of the Quds Force, Saeed Azadi in According to AFP, police in Iran's province said Saturday that 22 people, linked to Israeli spy services, had been arrested since June 13, Fars news agency reported. 22 people were identified and arrested on charges of being linked to the Zionist regime's spy services, disturbing public opinion and supporting the criminal regime, the agency said, citing the head of police intelligence in Iran's province. It came after Iranian police announced the arrest on Thursday of 24 people accused of spying for Israel and of seeking to tarnish the country's image, according to a statement carried by Tasnim news agency. A European national was also arrested for spying, Tasnim reported on Friday, without giving their nationality or the date of the arrest. Iran regularly announces arrests of suspected spies. Several have been executed in recent weeks. Norway-based NGO Iran Human Rights said at least 223 people have been arrested nationwide on charges related to collaboration with Israel, cautioning that the actual figure was likely higher, AFP stated. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin of Russia on Friday said he has secured Israel's pledge to safeguard Russian personnel at Iran's Russia-built nuclear power plant and that he has reached out to both sides to try to end the week-old war. He stated this while answering questions on a variety of issues at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Putin, who spoke in a native as interpreted in English, said that Russia has proposed some ideas for a possible settlement between Iran and Israel that are currently being discussed. He said Moscow asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to ensure the security of Russian personnel who are working to construct 2 more reactors at the nuclear power plant in Iran's port of Bushehr, and that he also raised the issue with US President Donald Trump. Prime Minister Netanyahu has agreed with that, and President Trump has promised to support our legitimate demands, Putin said. President Putin rejected allegations that Moscow has failed to back its ally, Tehran, saying the Kremlin has maintained good ties with both Iran and Israel. He noted that Israel is home to nearly 2 million people from Russia and other former Soviet nations, saying, a factor that we always have taken into account. At the same time, Putin said, Russia has always met its obligations to Iran, adding that Moscow has firmly backed Tehran's right for the peaceful use of nuclear energy. He voiced concern about the spiraling conflict, saying we are strongly worried about what's going on around the Iranian nuclear facilities and possible consequences. Al Jazeera reported on Saturday early morning that Iran had launched an early morning missile attack on central Israel, resulting in a fire in Holland, as several Israeli attacks were reported, including on Iran's Isfahan, home to a key nuclear research center. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Iran's nuclear program is peaceful and his country remains open to diplomacy, but Israel's attacks must stop first. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has said Saeed Azadi, the commander of the Palestinian Corps in Iran's Quds Force, has been assassinated in an attack on an apartment in the Iranian city of Earlier, we reported that an Israeli aircraft bombed an apartment in the city, 140 kilometers, 87 miles, south of Tehran, killing a 16-year-old. It's not immediately clear if both individuals were killed in the same attack. Announcing Azadi's death, Katz said he had funded and armed Hamas ahead of the October 7th massacre. Azadi's assassination is a huge achievement for Israeli intelligence and air force, justice for the murdered and kidnapped. Israel's long arm will reach all its enemies, he said, according to Al Jazeera. Israel Defense Forces, IDF, in a number of tweets on Friday night till Saturday stated that Saeed Azadi, a founder of the Iranian regime's plan to destroy Israel, was eliminated in a precise IDF strike in the area of Azadi was also the commander of the Palestine Corps of the Quds Force, a key coordinator between the Iranian regime and Hamas, and one of the main orchestrators of the October 7th massacre. He was responsible for military coordination between the senior commanders of the IRGC and the Iranian regime with key figures in Hamas. As part of his role, Azadi was responsible for increasing the financial funding from Iran to Hamas for terrorist activities against Israel. During the war, he was also responsible for directing Hamas forces operating from Lebanon. Since then, he has been committed to rebuilding Hamas military wing and ensuring that Hamas remains the controlling authority in Gaza. 3 surface-to-surface missile launchers prepared to fire a barrage of missiles towards Israel were dismantled. Additionally, a remotely piloted aircraft identified a group of Iranian soldiers, including an IRGC base commander in western Iran responsible for 15 missile launches, en route to carry out a launch. The cell was eliminated. IAF fighter jets struck the Iranian regime's internal security HQ and the HQ of the regime's special internal security units in Tehran earlier this week. When the world asks why we're fighting Iran, this is your answer. The IAF continues its mission to maintain aerial superiority in Iranian airspace. Fighter jets struck several Iranian missile systems and radar installations in the areas of Isfahan and Tehran, which were intended to target IDF aircraft and disrupt their operations. This strike expands the freedom of aerial operation in Iranian airspace, following the breakthrough to Tehran. Fighter jets and other aircraft of the Israeli Air Force continue to operate freely in Iranian skies, striking military targets of the Iranian regime in western and central Iran. What did the IDF accomplish in Iran overnight? 60-plus fighter jets struck dozens of military targets in Iran using approximately 120 munitions. Several industrial sites used to manufacture missiles were struck in the Tehran area. These sites served as a key industrial center for the Iranian Ministry of Defense. The SPND headquarters in Tehran was struck. This building was used for the development of advanced technologies and weapons supporting the Iranian regime's military capabilities. 4 UAVs launched from Iran were intercepted, IDF stated. An apparent insider media, Daily Iran Military reported that, in the past few hours, an undisclosed number of advanced Arash-1 and Arash-2 long-range attack drones have been launched at Zionist cult terror sites across occupied Palestine. On the other hand, the US President, Donald Trump had told reporters that next week is going to be very big, as he reiterated his demand for Iran's unconditional surrender amid the conflict with Israel. Trump, according to several media reports, considered joining Israel in attacking Iranian nuclear sites. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed on Wednesday that Israeli strikes hit 2 centrifuge facilities at the TESA Karaj Workshop and Tehran Research Center in the Iranian capital. Centrifuges are machines used to enrich uranium. At the Tehran site, 1 building was hit where advanced centrifuge rotors were manufactured and tested, the IAEA said in a post on X social media. During the week, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, reacted to US President Donald Trump's warning that the country should unconditionally surrender, saying Tehran doesn't answer well to the language of threat. He also said Israel's attack on Iran is a huge mistake. In words, the Iran supreme leader said, "The US president threatens us. With his absurd rhetoric, he demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. They should make threats against those who are afraid of being threatened. The Iranian nation isn't frightened by such threats. It was already suspected that the US was involved in the malicious move carried out by the Zionist regime, but considering their recent remarks, this suspicion is growing stronger day by day. The Zionist regime's malicious attack on our country took place at a time when Iranian officials were indirectly engaged in negotiations with the US side. There was no indication on the part of Iran that signaled a military move. The harm the US will suffer will definitely be irreparable if they enter this conflict militarily. The US entering in this war is 100% to its own detriment. The damage it will suffer will be far greater than any harm that Iran may encounter. It isn't wise to tell the Iranian nation to surrender. What should the Iranian nation surrender to? We will never surrender in response to the attacks of anyone. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. This is the spirit of the Iranian nation, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei stated. We had reported that the India Ministry of External Affairs in a statement issued on Tuesday, says the government of India has moved India students in Tehran out of the Iranian capital city due to safety concerns following the continuous exchange of air bombardments between Israel and Iran, while at the same time, the government of India advised other citizens in Tehran that can afford their own transport fare to leave the Iranian capital city immediately, adding that some citizens of India have been evacuated out of Iran completely through the border with Armenia. The India embassy in Israel had on Sunday advised persons of India origin not to move unnecessarily in Tel Aviv and they should obey safety instructions from the Israeli authorities and Home Front Command. We had reported that the ongoing military campaigns between Israel and Iran on Monday did not spare journalists as the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB building in Tehran was hit by Israeli missile, with the Israel Defense Forces, IDF saying that the media was one of the Israeli military targets to block the military communications of Iran armed forces, which the Iran armed forces immediately retaliated with ballistic missiles fired into Israel, and IDF in a statement issued late hours on Monday confirmed that millions of Israeli residents are currently running into bomb shelters with air raid sirens sounding across several places in Israel. A video currently trending on social media showed the TV host, Sahar Amami, fleeing the studio when the station was hit by a missile during a live broadcast, although there are reports from Iran that the state media resumed normal operations minutes after the attack, but there are unconfirmed reports that some journalists were killed in the attack as part of the building was completely on fire. This international news agency, Reuters, put the total deaths recorded so far since the war began on Friday at 248, quoting Iranian source of Iran suffering 224 deaths, and Israeli source saying Israel has recorded 24 deaths. We had reported that not less than 100 persons, mostly civilians, have been confirmed dead less than 48 hours since, on Friday early morning night, Israel and Iran began new massive waves of offensive military campaigns that have forced commercial airplanes to avoid the troubled Middle East airspace as the two countries fly missiles of mass destruction in the air corridors, with local media confirming Iran ballistic missile killed 10 persons and injured more than 20 others at a single building struck at Bat Yam city in Israel as the angry Iranian soldiers launched a massive all-night continuous air bombardments campaign against the state of Israel that earlier on Friday began the new offensive military campaign when it flew fighter jets to strike Iranian military homes, nuclear weapon facilities, killing Iran nuclear weapons scientists, military leaders including Iranian Chief of Staff and Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, alongside almost 60 civilian death casualties. President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S. in a statement issued on Friday shortly after Israeli attack via his personal verified social media handle on his own Truth social media platform, praised and boasted about the military strength and capability of Israel, saying, "Things will only get worse for Iran because he gave them a chance to make a deal but they ignored the chance," adding with some level of mockery that the Iranian hardliners who spoke bravely are now dead as a result of the Israel attack on Iran, saying with emphasis that the US produces the best lethal military equipments anywhere in the world, and Israel already has a lot of the US military leather equipments, adding that Israel knows how to use the weapons and more will be giving to them. And in another statement issued also through the Truth social media platform on Saturday shortly after the unprecedented military parades to mark the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States Army, President Donald Trump threatened to unleash the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces to attack Iran at a level never seen before if Iran dare attack U.S. in any way, shape or form, claiming that the US had nothing to do with the Israeli attack on Iran. Reacting earlier, Iran's Supreme Leader, Imam Saeed Ali Khamenei said Iran will retaliate Israeli attack with a strong response of no mercy, just as Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Israeli attack on Tehran on Friday killed military commanders, nuclear scientists, women and children, while wishing President Donald Trump and U.S. Armed Forces happy birthday on Saturday. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu alleged that Iran made an attempt to assassinate President Donald Trump twice, adding that Israel attacked the military and nuclear facilities in Tehran on Friday because Iran was building intercontinental nuclear weapons that could be used to destroy Israel and any other country in the world.
OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Federal High Court sitting in Lagos State of Nigeria has found guilty 15 Chinese citizens, 2 Philippines and 1 Pakistan national for cyber-terrorism. Hence the court sentenced them to 1 year imprisonment and ordered the Nigeria Immigration Service to facilitate the deportation of the convicts immediately after they completed the various jail term. Details of the report as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC reads verbatim below. Court jails 15 Chinese, 2 Filipinos, 1 Pakistani for cyber-terrorism, internet fraud in Lagos. The Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday, June 19 and Friday, June 20, 2025, secured the conviction and sentence of 15 Chinese, 2 Filipinos and 1 Pakistani for cyber-terrorism and internet fraud before Justices Chukwuchukwu Eneke, Ayokunle Faji and Yelam Bogoro of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos. The suspects are Peng Li Huan, Zhang Jinrong, He Kun, Rochelle Caballona, Casalan Pianella, Guo Long Long, Zhang Huazhai, Lin Haobo, Chen Fusheng, Chen Dongdong, Wang Gonglin, Pan Kaiyu, Huang Renjian, Zhang Xiaolei, Karam Shazad, Chen Yuan, Wu Yong and Chen Xin. The suspects were arraigned on separate charges bordering on cyber-terrorism and internet fraud. One of the charges reads, that you, Casalan Pianella, sometime in December 2024, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, willfully caused to be accessed, computer systems organized to seriously destabilize and destroy the fundamental economic and social structure of Nigeria when you procured, employed Nigerian youths for identity theft and to hold themselves out as persons of foreign nationality, with the intent to gain financial advantage for yourselves, and you thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 18 of the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act 2015, as amended 2024, and Section 2(3)(d) of the Terrorism Prevention, Prohibition Act 2022. They all pleaded guilty to the charges when they were read to them. In view of their pleas, the prosecution counsel, Spifa Wede, Vilkasu Buhari Bala, Chinenye Okezi, Ebuka Okongwu, BM Isa and Namba Mutfwang respectively prayed the court to convict the defendants and also order the forfeiture all the exhibits recovered from them. The judges found them guilty of the charges and convicted them accordingly. All the convicts were sentenced to 1 year imprisonment, with a fine of 1 million nairas, 1 million naira. The judge also ordered that upon completion of their sentences, the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, should ensure that they are repatriated to their country of origin within 7 days. The judge also ordered that the items recovered from them be forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. The convicts are among the 792 suspects arrested by operatives of the EFCC for alleged cyber-terrorism. They were charged to court and jailed. EFCC arraigns fake Bureau de Change operator in Lagos. The Lagos Zonal Directorate 2 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Wednesday, June 18, 2025, arraigned one Abdul Karim Awalu before Justice A.O. Owoi of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos. Awalu was arraigned on a 6-count charge bordering on operating bureau de change business without an appropriate license by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The petitioner alleged that he was approached by some unknown persons on the phone with a business proposal for investments in the defendant's business and other related businesses in Nigeria. The proposal allegedly involved the injection of about $10 million, $10 million USD, into the defendant's science and hospital equipment business. It was also alleged that in the course of facilitating the transmission of the boxes containing the $10,000, $10 million USD, the purported agents of the defendant kept presenting demand notices for the payment of various amounts of money from the nominal complainant under the guise of meeting statutory charges for the clearance of the said boxes containing the money to his Kano office address. Investigation revealed that Awalu made cash payments, rather than using a financial institution. One of the counts reads, that you, Abdulkarim Awalu, sometime within January and April 2024 in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, without a company duly incorporated in Nigeria, failed to obtain a valid license from the Central Bank of Nigeria to carry on your business of bureau de change, and you thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 57 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, 2020 and punishable under Sections 57(5) of the same Act. He pleaded not guilty to the charge preferred against him. In view of this, the prosecution counsel, A.A. Usman, asked the court for a trial date and also prayed for the remand of the defendant in a correctional center. The defense counsel, Abdulkadir Wodi, however, informed the court of a pending bail application, which he sought to move. Responding, Usman told the court that he had not received the bail application. He was, thereafter, served in the open court. Justice Owoi remanded the defendant in the correctional center and adjourned till July 1, 2025 for the hearing of the bail application.
OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Almost 1 week after gunmen locked people, including children, women and elderly inside their rooms, macketed them, poured petrol on them and set them ablaze at Yelawata community in Guma local government area of Benue state last Friday night, Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday at a town hall meeting in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, confirmed that Nigeria's security operatives have made no arrests since the incident occurred while apparently taking advantage of the ceremonial-like town hall meeting to query the Inspector General of Nigeria Police Force, Kayode Egbetoken, and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, for not making arrest ever since the incident occurred, with the presidency in a press statement on Wednesday confirming that 100 people were killed in the attack, but local media and residents stated that more than 200 people were sent to their early grave during the attack. This Sunday, Dare, special advisor to the president on media and public communications after visiting the Yelawata community a day ahead of the president's visit to Makurdi, was seen in one of the photographs with a caption, Wednesday, Yelawata village market that was attacked. A walk through, President Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief arrives Makurdi, posted on his personal verified X social media handle, apparently covering his nose with a thick handkerchief, probably following the unpleasant condition of the environs that he could no longer endure the odors or stench emitting in the environment as a result of the mass murder, with the two-time former governor of the state, and senator that once represented Benue Northwest Senatorial District, which Yelawata is inclusive, and the current secretary to the Government of Federation in Nigeria, George Akum, saying that on Tuesday when he visited the crime scene, the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, BSUTH, and the camp where the internally displaced people are currently taking refuge, survivors from the attack spoke to him through tears, and after watching some of them at the hospital beds battling for their lives, the SGF said, the pain is raw. On Thursday afternoon, reports from Yelawata indicated that victims of the attack camped at the international market have blocked the road in protest over alleged poor food supply, also accusing government officials of mismanaging relief materials meant for them. At the town hall meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the paramount ruler of the Tiv tribe, Tiv James Francis Ayats challenged what he described as dangerous misrepresentations of the Benue crisis. It's not herders-farmers clashes, not communal clashes or reprisal attacks. It is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign by herder terrorists and bandits, the traditional ruler stated. He warned that the mislabeling of the crisis had fueled dangerous policy prescriptions. Wrong diagnosis will always lead to wrong treatment. This is war, the monarch declared, describing the attacks as a decades-long campaign against the Tiv and Adoma people. According to People's Gazette news media, about 100 persons including toddlers were locked up and burnt in their bedrooms, in an overnight attack by suspected herdsmen in Yelawata and Daudu communities in Benue State, Amnesty International claimed in a statement on Saturday. Community leader, Matthew M. Yan put the death toll at 200, noting that the number of wounded people exceeded 40. Children's throats were slit, and petrol was poured on some residents before the attackers set them ablaze, said Mr. M. Yan, who is among the community leaders in Yelawata and previously worked as acting chairman of the Benue State Universal Basic Education Board. The suspected herdsmen attacked Yelawata from two ends between late Friday and early Saturday, killing everyone in their path including youths and security agents who tried to fend them off. The herdsmen, in their large numbers and coordinated attacks, overpowered them. Mr. M. Yan said the herders attacked the communities around 11 p.m. on Friday from the western part and met fierce resistance from the youth and other security agents. He explained that another group of herdsmen attacked Yelawata from the eastern part and overpowered the youth before launching the attacks on the residents, most of whom were internally displaced persons from other parts of the state who sought refuge in market stalls due to their proximity to police stations. They killed our people, poured petrol on the stalls in the market and burnt them, Mr. M. Yan said. In those stalls, we had people who moved from places such as Branch Ude and people displaced from nearby villages, who slept in them because of the proximity of the police and soldiers there. And we learned no soldier came out to defend the people. The community leader said the death scenes were gruesome as families of 12 and 15 were burnt beyond recognition. As of now, from the names they are putting together, and the number of families and people that were burnt and killed are running to over 200 now. They killed and burned people in the houses. They will pour petrol and burn the whole place where people were sleeping. We had a family of 15, some families of 12, men with their 2 wives, children, and every one of them burnt. It is a terrible sight, said the community leader. Punch newspaper in a report on Thursday citing news agency of Nigeria, NAN, stated that the Benue State Coordinator of National Youth Service Corps, Mrs. Veronica Garba, said that Corps members in crisis areas have been evacuated into family houses in Makurdi. Garba made this known in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria on Thursday in Benue, Taka local government area of Benue. The coordinator said that as soon as they heard about the crisis, the management communicated with the police who evacuated the Corps members from both Yelawata and Daudu areas. Garba said the Corps members were instantly settled at their family houses, including offices of the Nigeria Corpus Christian Fellowship, National Association of Catholic Corps Members, and Muslim Corpus Association of Nigeria. We do not joke with the safety of our Corps members because we take them as our children, so as soon as we heard about the crisis, we contacted the Commissioner of Police who detailed his officers to help us evacuate our Corps members. We then did our head count and none was missing, so we arranged with the heads of all the family houses and got them settled in Makurdi for now pending when the situation will improve, she said. She urged parents to be calm, saying that their children were safe. The coordinator also assured parents that with the relocation of security chiefs to Benue, the situation would improve. I am sure that the parents of our Corps members have heard that all the security chiefs have moved to Benue, so they have no reason to fear. Above all, God, who is the safest security, is everywhere. He is with your children too, Garba said. Bayo Onanugu, The special advisor to the president on information and strategy in a news release on Wednesday stated that President Bola Tinubu has directed the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoken, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, to immediately arrest killer herders who perpetrated the heinous killing of over 100 people in Yelawata community in Benue State. President Tinubu gave the directive while addressing stakeholders at the government house. Markudi. The meeting included the Secretary to the federal government, George Akun, traditional rulers, and former governors of the state. The governors of Kwara, Imo, Kogi, Plateau, Ondo, and Nasarawa also attended the meeting. President Tinubu called out the Inspector General of Police to know why arrests have not been made. How come no one has been arrested for committing this heinous crime in Yelawata? Inspector General of Police, where are the arrests? The criminals must be arrested immediately, President Tinubu said. He urged the heads of the Department of State Services, DSS, and the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, to intensify surveillance and gather actionable intelligence to apprehend the perpetrators. He told the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, of the need for vigilance and collaboration between communities and security forces. Advising Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia on the importance of stakeholder management for peaceful and progressive governance, the president urged the governor to set up a peace committee in the state that will include former governors of Benue, elders, traditional rulers, federal government officials, and non-indigenes living in the state. Let us meet again in Abuja. Let's fashion out a framework for lasting peace. I am ready to invest in that peace. I assure you, we will find peace. We will convert this tragedy into prosperity, he said. President Tinubu urged Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State to allocate land for ranching and directed the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security to follow up. He called for blood donations to support the injured receiving treatment at the Benue State Teaching Hospital, where he had earlier visited victims and medical staff. While underscoring the importance of peace for sustainable development, President Tinubu implored the governor to ensure Benue is peaceful, adding that the circumstances of his visit this time should not have been a reason to visit. I wanted to come here to commission projects, to reassure you of hope and prosperity, not to see gloomy faces. But peace is vital to development, he said. The value of human life is greater than that of a cow. We were elected to govern, not to bury people, he stressed. He charged Governor Alia with working with the federal government to restore peace. Governor Alia, you were elected under the progressive banner to ensure peace, stability, and progress. You were not elected to bury people or comfort widows and orphans. We will work with you to achieve that peace. You must also work with us. Not everyone will like you in politics. They hate me, too, like hell. But here I am, still your president. I made a promise to protect democracy, freedom, and prosperity, even for my abuses and accusers. That's leadership, the president emphasized. In his remarks, Governor Hyacinth Alia appealed to the federal government to establish a special intervention fund for communities affected by repeated violent attacks across Benue State. Your Excellency, while we continue to mourn our losses and rebuild from the ashes of pain, we humbly urge the federal government to consider establishing a special intervention fund for communities affected by these incessant attacks in Benue State, he said. Governor Alia said the fund would support the rehabilitation of displaced persons, reconstruction of destroyed homes and infrastructure, and the restoration of livelihoods, especially for farmers. He reiterated his support for establishing state police as a lasting solution to insecurity. The governor pledged his administration's full commitment to building a safe, stable, prosperous Benue State. Also speaking at the meeting, the chairman of the Benue State Traditional Council, Tortiv, Orchivarai Professor James Ayats, praised President Tinubu for being the first sitting president to personally visit victims in the hospital in the wake of such a tragedy. He thanked the president for appointing notable Benue indigenes into key positions, including the secretary to the government of the Federation and the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, while expressing hope that more appointments would follow. On the recurring spate of insecurity in the state, the monarch took time to address misinformation and mischaracterization, saying that land grabbing is at the core of the decades-long conflict. Your Excellency, it is not herder-farmer clashes. It is not communal clashes. It is not reprisal attacks or skirmishes. What we are dealing with here in Benue is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign by herder terrorists and bandits. He cautioned that mischaracterizing the crisis had led to inadequate responses and accused some political actors of exploiting the situation for selfish gain. We hear that some politicians would even prefer that the crisis worsens, so it would serve as a basis for declaring a state of emergency. This is unfortunate. Any politician who prays for more people to die for such a project is working against the wishes of the people of Benue State, he said. He therefore appealed to President Tinubu to restore peace to the state and every part of Nigeria. All we ask of you, sir, is to stop our weeping. Give us peace in Benue State, so our people, primarily farmers, can return to their farms and continue to produce food for Nigeria. I heard a story about a challenge in a place in Kwara State, and you rose and gave them peace in Kayama. You can do that for Benue. Days before the president visit, Bayo Onanuga had stated in a press release that President Bola Tinubu has directed security chiefs to implement his earlier directive to bring lasting peace and security to Benue State. President Tinubu renewed his order in the wake of the latest round of reprisal attacks that led to the death of many people. On the president's directive, intelligence chiefs, the police and the military have arrived in the state to direct security operations and restore sanity. President Tinubu has equally charged the governor of Benue State with convening reconciliation meetings and dialogue among the warring parties to end the incessant bloodshed and bring lasting peace and harmonious coexistence between farmers, herders, and communities. Describing the killings and bloodletting as inhuman and anti-progress, President Tinubu called on political leaders and community leaders in conflict areas to stop fueling the crisis through unguarded utterances and statements that could further inflame tensions. They should also rein in those who go out to cause provocations and ignite reprisal attacks. The latest news of wanton killings in Benue State is very depressing. We must not allow this bloodletting to continue unabated. Enough is now enough. I have directed the security agencies to act decisively and arrest perpetrators of these evil acts on all sides of the conflict and prosecute them. Political and community leaders in Benue State must act responsibly and avoid inflammatory utterances that could further increase tensions and killings. This is the time for Governor Alia to act as a statesman and immediately lead the process of dialogue and reconciliation that will bring peace to Benue. Our people must live in peace, and it is possible when leaders across the divides work together in harmony and differences are identified and addressed with fairness, openness and justice. Senator George Akun, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, said in a statement issued via his social media handle and stated that, I returned home, ahead of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's condolence visit to Benue, weighed down by the grief of the Yelawata killings. I was at the sites of the attack, met survivors who spoke through tears, and visited those fighting for their lives at BSUTH. The pain is raw, the sorrow is deep. At the Market IDP camp, I met families still reeling from loss, displaced, grieving, and living in difficult conditions. Their resilience moved me deeply. This crisis has gone on too long. No one deserves to live in fear or uncertainty in their own homeland. This really hurts. I brought Mr. President's heartfelt condolences to the people and the FG's commitment to end this pogrom. But I also bring my personal vow too. I will not abandon my own. I will stand with you and we will not rest till our homesteads are secure and peace returns to our lands. We had reported that the Benue State Governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Lawmamalia, has confirmed the killing of 23 persons by herdsmen who invaded the Naka community and other communities in Apa and GWA West local government areas on Sunday.
How come no arrest has been made? I expect there should be arrests of those criminals. Christopher, thank you very much. I watch your comments. I know you can't be tired of staying in the bush and Oloyede and Basha. Thank all of you. But we need to keep our ears to the ground. Let's get those criminals. Let's get them out. So DGNIA and DGSSS, read through your information channels and let's have tangible intelligence that this will not occur again. Thank you very much. Thank you.
OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way. OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.